guys, it's Kwana back again with another review. Hope you guys are doing awesome. So today we're talking all about The Tomorrow War. This is a recent big summer blockbuster film that hit Amazon Prime, and it stars Chris Pratt, our favorite bride of Gilead, Yvonne Strahovski, and our favorite or second favorite insurance guy with a deep voice, J.K. Simmons. It also has 3 black actors that I really like: Edwin Hodge, Sam Richardson, and Keith Powers. The film stars Chris Pratt as a biology teacher slash former Green Beret who is looking to start a job at a really big high-end research lab and doesn't get it, and is kind of dealing with an existential crisis of whether or not he's doing big enough things in the world. He's a guy with a kid and a wife and seems to be pretty well liked in the neighborhood. You know, they're having a neighborhood party, Christmas party, with a whole lot of people in their house. So we definitely know that this is pre-COVID, and seems like he's a pretty likable guy, even though he's kind of sulking the whole beginning part of the movie. But anyway, suddenly their regularly scheduled soccer match that everyone is gathered together to watch is interrupted by an arrival from the future from a group of people in uniform saying, "We are you guys in the future. And yeah, we're dying because a bunch of space aliens are killing us. So we need you guys to help us to defeat the space aliens." A lot of questions there, but as Americans and everyone else in the world apparently decides to do, is they're going to enforce a universal draft where Americans are going to be handpicked to kind of go into the future and try to fight the space aliens. Unfortunately, a whole bunch of people are dying and are not coming back after their 1-week tour of duty. And eventually, whose draft number gets picked but our guy right here, Dan Forrester, aka Mr. Biology Teacher. And so he has to go into the future 30 years and help defeat the space aliens. And because he is a biology teacher and a former military man, he is uniquely able to handle any and all situations. J.K. Simmons plays his dad, who is his estranged dad, who's also an airplane pilot. That's going to be really important later on in the movie, so don't forget that when you're watching it. And pretty much everyone else that I mentioned are the individuals that he will meet either en route to go fighting the space aliens, that will join him in fighting the space aliens, or are in the future. Yeah. This was a pretty enjoyable summer blockbuster movie, guys. I'm not a big action person unless we're talking Marvel movies, but I thoroughly enjoyed it, although I had a lot of questions while watching the movie. Don't expect this movie to get a lot of things right in terms of the science, and I don't mean in a way of like everyone watching this movie needs a degree and the science needs to make sense. It's just some stuff that's going to be like a logical whole that's not explained very well. They just want you to dispel your, core belief here of how basic science and also time and the space-time continuum as a theory works, and just enjoy the movie. So you're not supposed to get the science of it right. So don't worry about that, okay? They're not going to get that right. That aside, movie is pretty enjoyable. Lots of big budget action sequences that were pretty good, pretty high stakes, pretty good internal conflict going on here. I don't know that I like the idea that, he's searching for all of these forms of fulfillment that are outside of the things that he already has that should be pretty darn fulfilling. I mean, he's an educator and seems to be a pretty competent one, albeit, they are going through like a global crisis, but the kids seem pretty knowledgeable about the stuff that they're supposed to know. And he has pretty solid marriage, kid who adores him. So all of those things should be big ideas or big things in life that he should feel fulfilled by. But as someone who is a teacher but also spending time on YouTube talking with you guys about movies, I guess I kind of get the relatability of this guy. So I'm going to let that one slide. The relationship that he forms with Sam Richardson's character, I thought was a really good kind of minimalist take on like the buddy film. It gives us kind of a moment of buddy film, but it doesn't really linger. Their relationship kind of comes and goes in waves as we spend more time focusing in on his relationship with Yvonne Strahovski's character. Not going to spoil that for you in case you haven't seen it, but her character will be kind of a surprise. But she plays basically the colonel in the future. If you've seen the trailer, you kind of recognize that she's playing a military person in the future sequences of the film. And then we have the third act. I think the third act was a little bit of a letdown from what happens in the second act. And I think the reason why for me the third act was a letdown is because this movie was a movie that screamed epilogue, screamed post-credits sequence, something along those lines to show us or give us an indication of what the future looks like after these individuals have traveled back and forth across time and space as some kind of payoff, especially in case there's no mentioning of a sequel or even just to tease a sequel. I don't know. But the fact that we didn't get a post-credits scene or an epilogue felt like a little bit of a letdown for me. But other than that, the CGI I thought was pretty well done here. The aliens were frightful looking and scary looking and certainly more intimidating than a lot of CGI aliens. So there's that. Thought that was a good thing. And all of the sequences in the future were pretty compelling. There's a lot of characters that I think actors you're gonna recognize when you get to the kind of like second act or the tail end of the first act going into the second act of this movie that make it really make you really invested. I think you're really invested more in so much that you recognize these actors and so you're excited for them to be in this movie, and then you see how they develop the characters a little bit and you're like, oh, they're playing that character, so we're supposed to root for them, and then it's like wah, wah, wah. Be prepared to have some of your hopes and dreams dashed. One thing I will say is I really thoroughly enjoyed it as someone who is not big on action, and my husband, who is really big on action, he also enjoyed it. And even though I was kind of coming at it with a more critical eye of wanting to know why they didn't answer all of these other questions, he was like, just shut up and enjoy the movie. I mean, he didn't say shut up because we would have issues then, but he was just like, just enjoy the movie. And he was right. The minute that I kind of realized, okay, I need to let go of the science of this not being right and just enjoyed the movie for what it was, a big summer blockbuster action movie, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Not every movie is meaning to or meant to reinvent the wheel, give us a new take on something, give us a new genre, create something new and original. I feel kind of bad for director Chris McKay because, of course, he's most famous for directing the Lego movie. And at the time that the Lego movie came out, it was so refreshing, so groundbreaking, doing something so new. And everyone kind of expects him to stay in that lane. I saw a lot of think pieces about he's someone who parodies and does satirical work and takes on these types of movies. But just because you're capable of satirizing, I think that's right, action movies doesn't mean you can't also be someone who enjoys action movies and loves those things about them. And I think, in fact, the person who can do satire of those things is probably the person who also enjoys making those things. And this is his opportunity to make that thing. So, yeah. I liked the movie. It's kind of got a low rating right now for me anyway on Rotten Tomatoes. It's got like a 55, which is kind of sad because I saw a lot of good reviews when it first was about to air, and then the minute that it aired, here came all of the Chris Pratt haters who wanted to knock the movie down a peg or two and give it a bad rating. But the audience rating is at 81%, and I'm going to give it to the audience right now and say I think that they are more closely aligned to an adequate rating. I think, yes, it was kind of weird seeing Chris Pratt in a non-comedic style role, but everyone's allowed a chance to kind of spread their wings and fly a little bit. So I would actually give this movie a B+. It was enjoyable. It wasn't perfect, but it was good action for the 4th of July weekend. Gave me a couple of touching moments that kind of choked me up a little bit in the back of my throat. And I think that's what you want to do, right? So yeah, the Tomorrow War. Check it out. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. And I'll see you guys in the next review. Toodles.